everyone, this is Chansey with another version of Sweet, the full stack testing framework for Rust. Now I've got two features I'm excited about to talk about today. That's end-to-end testing and also CI/CD. So let's get into it. I'm going to use the example project. This is just on the documentation site, and I've already downloaded it, so you don't have to sit through compilation. And yeah, so I'll start off with native end-to-end tests. This is something like Fantoccini. We'll use Fantoccini for it, or something like a Playwright as well. That's another sort of a way of remotely controlling your web browser. It's all using sort of WebDriver. Okay, so this is our test. You can see it's just creating a client builder. Then we're just going to connect to, in this case, Chrome driver. Go to example, see if it's got a URL. So I'll go ahead and run that. Okay, so that might fail because I didn't start Chrome driver, which is cool. So I can show you a bit about the watch mode as well. So if I go, so it's a little bit of a longer command, but if I can start it again in watch mode, it's going to fail again and say, oh, okay, we don't have Chrome driver, so let's go ahead and start Chrome driver. Chrome driver. Once that's started, if I just hit save again, we should get a recompilation, and then it's going to run Chrome driver, and okay, we've got a pass test. And again, I can I can mistype something, see what happens there. Run it again, and okay, it didn't get what it expected. Okay, so that's pretty standard end-to-end testing in Rust. Like this is all using Fantoccini. As you can see, we're using some of the Sweet matches and also the macro for a bit of that declarative sort of like, oh yeah, it this, it that, or test this, test that. And of course, it all gets sort of collected and run by the Sweet runner. Now the other side of end-to-end testing is in-browser tests. So that's something more like Cypress end-to-end tests, where you're going to use an iframe and you're going to run in the browser, be inspecting that iframe, making sure it has what's expected. So let's have a look at how that works. So I've got this here, this web end-to-end test. Let's go ahead and run that. Now this does need the Forky CLI. So that's going to do a couple of things. Maybe I won't get into it at the moment. First, we'll run it and then start talking about it. So as you can see, it's starting Chrome driver by itself, which is remotely running the web runner. So I can give you an example of, I can actually show you what's going on here by doing this again in interactive mode, and we'll jump into what this actually looks like. So as you can see, just ran a bunch of tests. We're getting an output. So this would be just running the end-to-end test, going through this domain, making sure that it's got some checking some matcher. So if I run back here and, like, I don't know, mistype something, that's going to recompile. Jump back into here and just see, okay, yeah, it didn't get what it expected. You'll notice that it took a little bit longer to make sure that it didn't get what it expected, because we're actually using a poll here, because naturally, like in web, if you're using, like, I don't know, some framework, sometimes things don't always render like exactly on page load, something like that. So the poll method is going to give us some some leeway there, a couple of seconds, or I'll wait for a little bit, like just keep checking, does it have what it expected. It's very similar to how Cypress would do something like that. Okay, so we'll fix that back up. So that's the interactive mode, and just to demonstrate again, so without the interactive mode, it's doing the same thing. It's just running it automatically with Chrome driver and then getting the output. So if I ran that, I think that's going to pass at the moment. But if I just mistype that again, we'll see a failure. Hopefully, there we go. Okay, so we'll see the failure. It didn't get what it expected. So that's your native and your in-browser end-to-end tests. And I guess this gets quite interesting when with CI/CD. So both of those are able to run in headless mode. And let's have a look at. I'm going to use GitHub workflows for an example of CI/CD. How that might look. Okay, so maybe I'll just go through this step by step. Make sure you can see that okay. Okay, so first step, very standard, just check out. Cache, that's very standard as well. That's just, your standard sort of Rust. Whatever we do here, all the compilation, all the building, we don't want to do that every time. So just cache what you can. We're going to install Chrome driver, which will be needed by the in-browser end-to-end tests, and also your native end-to-end tests if that's what you're doing. We've got Rust here. We're also going to need WASM as a target. We're going to need WASM bindgen. We're going to need the Forky CLI, which is what actually runs those in-browser tests. And then we're just going to do a build, and then we're just going to do a native run, then we're going to do a WASM run. So here's one I've prepared earlier. So that's basically that same framework. As you can see, the first time it ran, it took 10 minutes. The second time it ran, I don't know if you can see that. Second time it ran, it took under a minute. And so that's to run both your native and your in-browser tests. So that looks something like this. So there's running the native test, and there's running the in-browser test. Okay, so yeah, so that's about it for today. Again, you can find me on the Bevy and Leptos Discord channels, Shanty, or Mr. Shanty, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to hearing some feedback and what you all think.